So this is a Mudmaster. I also reviewed the WG 1000 on my channel, and I'll be making a comparison video that should release around the same time as this video. Here's the module number for those of you searching for the instruction manual. And the practice of, releasing a watch and then releasing a watered down, less featureful watch, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to make one, is one that G-SHOCK has employed before, specifically with their Golfmaster series. I reviewed the GWN 1000, and then they went ahead and released a GN 1000, which is a more diluted watch, and this is the same thing as compared to the GWG 1000. This GG 1000 doesn't have atomic timekeeping or solar powered, and it doesn't have a barometer and altimeter. Like I said, I'll do a complete comparison, and if you want to check out that video, just click the link now. But here we're going to focus on this watch and what it does have. So we see the textured band. There's no nub on the strap keeper this time around. 2 prongs. The back is pretty simple, although stainless steel, and relatively thick. Because of its thickness, I'm tempted to say that it is indeed machined, but it doesn't have the sophistication or level of detail that a lot of their machined case backs do. But at the same time, I don't think it's stamped. I think maybe they just went to save some costs on the detailing of the case back. This watch fits well on my wrist. My wrist is 7 centimeters, only because if I don't tell you guys, you'll ask me. But there's as much of a wrist shot I could get in the circumstance. We see our stainless buttons, again, very hard to turn because they do have O-rings on them, so they are double sealed. And I think that's all, speaking about the watch externally. Looking at the watch, we see, of course, our analog display with hour, minutes, and seconds. Notice how much of the hour hand, the minute hand, obscures when you are at 6 o'clock. So that'll happen every hour. Just notice that, it's kind of hard to see the hour hand at this point in time. In addition, we have 2 LCD displays, one on the top and one on the bottom, and a rotating display to tell you what mode you're in. So in this timekeeping mode, we could go ahead and change the top display by pressing the top left button, and we can change between the time and the date. The day of the week is displayed in this display down here, and that's also where your low battery indicator will be if your watch is running low on battery. From the timekeeping mode, we could go ahead and adjust the settings by holding down the top left button. And here we go. You can see we set our home city here, and we could go forward and backwards actually by using the light button to go backwards, so it does get repurposed when you are in the settings. We can turn our daylight saving time on and off, select from 12 or 24 hour time, and go ahead and set our time. Like I said, this is not an atomic watch, so you will have to set the time. Here we set our date as well as turning our ketone on or off. And finally selecting if we want our backlight on for 1 or 3 seconds. The backlight is, there's only one light, it's an LED, so it doesn't light up the LCD displays, it just lights up the watch face, but it is pretty bright. I'll roll in a clip showing the backlight illuminating the watch in the dark, but keep in mind the camera may not capture it the same way your eye would. I found the lume on the watch hands to be about on par with other G-SHOCKs, and that is to say less than impressive. If you want to see a comparison, go ahead and click on the GG 1000 versus GWG 1000 video, and I'll roll in some photos of both of these side by side with my tritium watch over the course of an hour or so you can see how quickly it fades and whatnot. To get to the temperature, one of the sensors of this watch, you go ahead and click this button. And fairly basic, we see our temperature up top, temperature displayed on the bottom, and we would adjust that or calibrate that by holding down this button, and that's also how we would change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Of course, the watch does have to be off of your wrist for the temperature, so nothing new there. Also from the time screen, we can go ahead and select our compass. That's the second sensor that this watch has. And you can see our dial indicating the compass. And when you're in the compass mode, you have your 12 o'clock heading displayed on the in degrees here and in cardinal directions down here, and your second hand is gonna point north. The compass only lasts 20 seconds on this watch before it times out, and then it will just display a blank screen like so, and that's to conserve battery. An interesting feature of this watch is that while in the compass mode, you can go ahead and save a bearing by pressing that button, and then you can see 90 degrees is saved, so it displays our bearing here, and we could also use this banner up top to go ahead and follow that bearing. So when that lights up like that, we know we are straight ahead to stay on our desired bearing. And when the compass does time out and you have to reactivate it, it does still remember your bearing. So that's useful. To calibrate the compass, just because people always ask, you go ahead, hold down that button, you pick your first direction, you go ahead and press this button, it'll take a few seconds, and then the arrow will switch to pointing this way, so then you rotate the watch 180 degrees, press the red button again, wait for it to beep, and then it's all set. But we're not going to do that right now. Moving on. Oh, it's not going to let me. Okay, so moving on, the second setting that we can access is the world time mode. In world time, our home time is displayed with the analog display, and the world time is on the digital display. That's pretty useful because this watch, the hands are pretty slow to adjust, and they only move clockwise. So if it switched every time you went into world time, you'd be waiting a minute or so for the hands to catch up to the actual time. We could go ahead and scroll through the world times, like so. And at any point, if you want to go back to UTC, you could go ahead and press these two buttons, which is a neat little feature. To switch your home time and world time, you go ahead and hold down the top two buttons. And now you're seeing, just how long it's going to take that change to happen. So definitely not the quickest, and it is going to use some of your battery, so not something you want to be doing every morning when you wake up. So set it and forget it. Next, we'll move to our stopwatch. It is a 24-hour stopwatch chronograph. Start it here. It does have a split timer. So say if we wanted to record one time now, we would press the button. To release the split time after we have that written down or whatnot, we just press the button again, and then we would have our second time at 13. So pretty straightforward there. Moving on, the next feature is the countdown timer. Adjustable in 1 minute increments from 1 minute to an hour only, so a little restrictive there. I'm going to go ahead and start it. Just so you notice, the banner is dropping down because we are in the countdown timer. And I don't know if you saw, but in the chronograph, the banner was actually displaying 1/10 of seconds. So it does change with the settings. Next, we'll jump into the alarm mode, starting with the signal. If you want to turn an alarm on or off, you just press this button, and we see the alarm indicator there. There are a total of 4 regular alarms on this watch. And there's also a snooze alarm, so a lot of you will be happy with that feature. And there's the snooze indicator on the bottom. This is also where you return your hourly signal on and off. From any setting to get back to time, I'll just show you guys a 1/10 of a second. So if we want to get back to time, we just hold down this button. And of course, as our alarm goes off. So that double beep takes us back to the home time setting. This watch does have an auto light feature, so if we hold down the light button, take 2. If we hold down the light button, you see the LT symbol in the bottom LCD display, and then every time you tilt the watch, the light's going to come on. Unlike solar G-Shocks, there's no sensor of it's bright, so the light's not going to come on. It's just going to know that you tilt the watch, so power is going to come on. Okay, quickly, just 2 points I wanted to add that I forgot in my one take. You may have noticed that the hour and minute hands obstructed the LCD displays in some of the settings, and this watch does not have a feature that allows you to move those hands out of the way, so likely done to conserve battery life, but a little bit of a bummer. Additionally, this watch does allow you to align your hands to the home position, so to do that we simply hold down the adjust button for an extended period of time, and then we see handset come up, and we can adjust it with the plus and minus, and then we can go ahead and do the same with our hour and minute hands, and you'll see how long it takes to get there. And I said before that the hands only move one direction on this watch. In this case, they actually will go counterclockwise. So after you're done setting it, you can see they return counterclockwise, but it still is a pretty slow process. This watch does not have a power saving mode, which is interesting because it is battery powered. You know, it is estimated to have a 2-year battery life, which really isn't my thing. I like my solar and atomic Gs because I don't like fumbling with my watches or taking them to the jeweler to get the battery swapped out. But that being said, you know, the GWG 1000 is still above $500 if you want to find one, and this is clocking in at $275 already. So you are saving a lot of money. You're getting the same style. I think style is probably the biggest similarity because the feature set is limited. The ruggedness, it has that Mudmaster ruggedness, the mud-proof design. So if that's what you're looking for, you get that as well for the lower price. And you know, overall, it is a good looking and good performing watch. Sure, it does have some quirks like I've showed you. You know, the hands do take a long time to adjust. The auto light always comes on, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, you know, is it worth saving a couple $100 and getting this watch if, you know, the features appeal to you and you don't have the 500 and whatever dollars to chalk up for a GWG? Sure. And, you know, I don't think there's any really limiting factors of this watch that would prevent me from recommending it to an end user. So that being said, that's my review of the GG 1000. Be sure to check out my comparison video, and please like, comment, subscribe.